Hello and welcome to a very special video where I'll be breaking down G2's macro up against BDS from their best of 5 in the LEC Winter Playoffs. Now it's game 1 and G2 have picked TF. I don't want to talk too much about the draft or who's got a better comp or how it'll play out from composition wise or the matchup, something like that. I just want to specifically talk about the macro because there's a lot to talk about from how G2 got a gold lead by basically never fighting and how their map movements are unique because of the global that they have in top lane. So I'm not going to do the first 15 minutes. So the game is very, very even. And we start off right here, almost exactly 15 minutes in. This is where all the macro begins. Now I'm going to break this down into 4 sequences. The first 2 sequences will be the gold injections. The third sequence will be the Baron. And the fourth sequence will be the map setup. So let's start with sequence 1 and 2, which are kind of interlinked with one another, as well as the Baron follow-up. So Caps has TP top on Azir. Right, Yike just used flash ult, Mickey just used ult. They're missing a few cooldowns, but they do want to at least try to contest things because BDS is down on cooldowns as well. Broken Blade is bot, and G2's current play, they want to push out top with Caps Azir, push out bot with Broken Blade's TF, get bot tier 1 and fight Herald. Right, the reason that Caps TP top wasn't because he needed gold or anything, it's just because he wanted to keep top pressure while Yike was resetting and Mickey was coming out of base with wards. I'll be using the minimap a lot in this breakdown, and I think the minimap tells a beautiful story of what teams are saying if you put into perspective and like join the pieces up. So what I think they were doing here is, well, Caps got chunked out and has to base for sure now, but you can see the spam pings onto the Herald from G2. Broken Blade has a really nice bot wave, and their ideal situation right here is take this bot tier 1, Broken Blade backs off, and maybe looks for ult up here, as the rest of his team will come out of base. You know, you can see the base coming in now, Yike's in base, Caps spacing, everyone will come out of base, and there'll be some kind of Herald contest after BB gets bot tier 1. Maybe even Broken Blade keeps on pushing, and they can threaten the TF global. The reason they want to do this is Caps has no TP, they need the TF on this side, and they need the global ready in case they want to fight this Herald. So this is where all the macro craziness kicks in, and I think it's really fun. This is where it all begins. So BB's pushing into this bot tier 1, BDS know he wants it, and they call Adam to TP in. Now, they waited a little bit for Nuke to get in range, and they 3-man Broken Blade on TF. Now he has Ghost, he has Flash, he has Nimbus Cloak, he has Celerity, he has Fleet Footwork, he has Boots of Swiftness, Zeal. This TF has so much move speed that they didn't get the pick. But did you see the minimap while that was happening? This is where all of it begins. Caps is looking for something on top, right? You can see he's running up through the lane towards top, and they're pinging onto the Herald. Mickey's warding top, but watch what Caps does here. As he realizes BB's about to die, or he's in trouble, or he needs to reset, or he can't cover bot, Caps changes his mind and says, you know what, I'm going bot. You see what Azir just did there? He just used his WEQ, I think, or some kind of dashing combo to try and get the bot lane as quickly as possible. So G2's plan just changed. They realized we can't get bot tier 1. And BDS have 2 options. BDS could overstay bot with these 4 champions and try and force his bot tier 1. Or they could go towards Herald with Nuke's TP. They have two options. Now, Caps is saying, I don't have TP. Broken Blade has the base. We're going to lose a bot tower right now if this Orianna keeps pushing. So I'll go and cover it, which means we're dropping Herald. So what G2 had there is they had 2 options. They had option number 1, lose bot tier 1, fight Herald, or lose Herald, get bot tier 1. Now, bot tier 1 is 50 global gold, 150 local, 250 local, sorry, and 150 bonus. So it's 450 gold for the first tower. And as we progress through this sequence and the next few, just look at the gold. Right now it's dead even, and Azir is up 40 gold, right? At 15 minutes, 44 seconds. You'll see how this devolves into madness. So Caps goes bot, and he catches the wave. And G2, despite putting some wards up there and Mickey investing a little bit of vision up there, their play is not to fight it. Now, one quick thing before we round out what happened here. Look at top wave real quick for me. You see how it crashes here from red side? Now, when a wave crashes like that, it'll always push back for blue side, because what will happen is blue side minions get held up, red side minions don't, which means they meet closer to blue side's base, which means when the next wave comes out of base, it means it'll crash as it's closer to blue side. The next wave will get there first before this wave, which means they'll push faster, right? Because they get more hits in before the other wave arrives. So you'll see here, as I just skip forwards quickly on the minimap, you see how that blue dots are building up and they're slowly pushing. All right, no one was there and it pushed. Right, keep that in mind as we go through this. So Caps pushes out bot. Now BB's job is a bit weird. Broken Blade is like, I could push top, but they're all top side for Herald and I have no summoners. It's kind of useless. I don't think I'll push top. So Broken Blade's like in limbo. He's kind of considering what to do while Caps is pushing in bot. And G2 are giving this a bit uncontested. They are fishing a little bit. You'll see this happen in pro play where they won't actually contest something, but they'll do something called soft contest where they won't actually take a fight. And you'll see G2 do this multiple times in this game. What they'll do is soft contest just to keep BDS's guard up, you know, just to slow them by a few seconds here and there. Don't get engaged on, just kind of keep them at arm's length. So that's what G2 was doing. Now, Broken Blade realizes he shouldn't play through top. All of BDS are on Herald. And you might be asking, well, Caedrel, why didn't Nuke just defend bot tower? Well, he can't. They have no TP on Rumble to cover him. Remember that TP play they did on Broken Blade? If they want to fight this Herald, they need Rumble. If Rumble's bot covering Orianna, then they're just going to give up Herald for free. And if Orianna's bot with TP, they could just TF ult on him. They don't know where Vi is. Vi could be around here. TF could be ulting. Orianna would die, and then they could push for 2 towers. So it's really not worth to have Nuke there. What's better is to let BB come towards mid and soft contest the Herald. Now, what has G2 essentially done right now? If you actually contextualize what just happened, BDS made a TP play bot that failed, which then transitioned into a map state where G2 have 3 pushing lanes. Remember how I said top lane was slow pushing? They have 3 pushing lanes because they ignored Herald, and they have a 1k gold lead in the span of 30 seconds and BDS making a play. So, the reason they get this mid tower is obviously because Caps can push in, he can move towards mid, and now Ice is scared of a 5-man mid collapse because obviously Adam had to catch that big top wave with no TP, Nuke has to catch that bot wave, and now there's this kind of pincer movement from G2. So G2 giving up that Herald got them 2 towers. Now G2 owns something what's called tempo right now. They have more pushing lanes in BDS, which means they control more of the map, which means BDS have to give up more and play a bit more reserved until they can start pushing back when G2 take resets. And that's exactly what G2 will do. This is where the second sequence comes in. So the first sequence has happened and Caps is now up 900 gold despite only being up 50 just before they started this Herald. And this is where the second sequence happens. This is where BDS are the ones who can try and play a little bit for tempo. The only problem that BDS have right now is, remember when Adam TP'd bot? Yeah, he still hasn't base. These are the exact same items he had when he TP'd bot. But nevertheless, G2, when you play on lanes, right? Let's say they played on mid and bot right there, and the enemy team was playing on top. When everyone resets, you need to retake. So what G2 needs to do now is defend top, because BDS can still play through that lane. So what they need to do is cover. They need to go on the defensive now, G2. So what you'll see them do is they'll move top with their jungler, they'll move top with their support, and they'll cover Broken Blade to make sure that he can't get dove on this wave, so they can start playing on 3 lanes again. All the meanwhile, as the 3-man, the jungle support of G2 cover Broken Blade, Caps pushed out bot again. He's just been pushing these waves non-stop, keeping Nuke on the tower. He's pushed bot and he's moved towards mid. Why has he done that? Well, he needs to free up hands as well, in case he needs to move up. Why? You don't have TPs, right? If Cap still had TP, he could play around here. He could maybe play around mid and then TP top. But because he doesn't have TP and Nuke does, he needs to be ready to move to side if he needs to, if he's called upon. BDS look for this top tier one. They can't get it. They don't invest a Herald. Broken Blade now feels safe to walk up because there's jungle supporter here. So jungle supporter covering Broken Blade and Caps is covering Hansama. See those question mark pings by red team? They ping the Azir. They say he's right there. And then you can see Labrov put a ward down onto Caps. And then Caps walks away. Now Caps walking away means he's in fog of war. And Nuke wants to catch bot wave. So now what Ice is saying is, well, Azir could jump on me at any second. And now that my jungle top have been pushed out, their jungler can jump on me at any second. So I can't really get the mid push. And that's bad. That's really bad. Because what you'll see G2 do is they'll always have numbers advantage or numbers parity, despite not having TP on Azir. How do they achieve that? Well, that's exactly what we're about to look at. Azir pushed out bot and moved mid. That means Kalista can get mid push. You see how Labrov and Ice are quite scared? They don't really know where jungle support is. They don't really know where the Azir is. Caps is doing Krugs. You know, he's absolutely on the other side of the map, but BDS just don't know for certain. And they only had their jungle support, jungle top up here, whereas G2 had 3 members. Even with Nuke's TP, it's still a 3v3, right? And now, because Hans is pushing mid, and he's going to move up the top, that means Ice is stuck on the tower. So even if Nuke TP top, it's a 4v4 up here. That's even if Adam was in range. So by the time everyone's trying to collapse and defend this play, G2 have a numbers advantage for the time being, and they get the tower. And if you watch Caps' pathing, he actually doesn't path to the wave, he paths to make sure he's marking Nuke in case they try and do anything funny. Right now, if Nuke was to TP, Caps can cancel him really easily. So, what's happened? BDS are now down almost 2,000 gold. And G2 have got 3 outer towers. And G2 are matching or having numbers advantage in plays where they shouldn't because they're juggling, they're pushing lanes so well when BDS have more TPs. or a TP up against Caps on the side lane, right? With the TP lane that they're matching. So BDS gets a bit frustrated, you know? They get a bit pissed off. I would as well. I mean, this is a no summoners TF walking up. And now at this point in the game, all 4 of you are top. And Hansama's mid, so it's a 4v3. Finally, BDS have a numbers advantage. And Orianna can TP safely. So it's a 5v3 if they wanted. So Labrov says, I'm going in. Good play. No flash on this TF. They invest a lot for it. That's Rel flash, Rel ult, Rumble flash. They get a kill. But nevertheless, now they have tempo. They have something they can play on. They have a lane to play through. Now, before I finish up this points real quick in this sequence, I'll just show you a really cool mechanic. So you see how the Herald is spawned as the tower is dying? The way Rift Herald works is he gets a charge. And when a tower dies, the charge resets, right? But I actually didn't know that the charges stack. So if the Herald spawns and it's charging past the tower, when the tower dies, it gets a bonus charge, as if it was refreshing its charge in the first place. Does that make sense? So what you'll see the Rift Herald do, actually, is a quick thing. It's quite interesting. I don't know if this is intended or not. The Herald's charging, right? It hits the tower, but because the other tower died, it still has another charge, weirdly. So watch the Herald here. Watch him. He's going to... See how it got onto its feet like that? That means it's ready for another charge, which means top tier 2 would have got one shot if it got the other charge off. Anyway... BDS have this top push, and they're going to use the Herald, and they're going to drive past it, and they're going to try and force this top tier 2. As they should. Caps' TP's on cooldown. You know how I talked about that charge? I would have loved it if BDS knew that mechanic, or tried to pop ult, or just ran at this Taric and forced him off. That means the tower would have died faster, and this would never have happened. But nevertheless, BDS overstayed to get this tower. Nuke then cancels mid push and goes to bot. Means they don't have 2 pushing lanes, they only have 1 in top. And he matches Caps and stops him from taking bot tier 2, and BDS get top tier 2. Remember how I talked about soft contesting? Yeah, look at G2. This is soft contesting again. They do this a lot. They walk up to a fight looking like they're going to engage. You know, Yike could put a ward down, Caps can TP in if he takes a reset, and then they can force. But it's funny how, like, imagine you're BDS. You see Yike here, who just swept a ward. You're all running, calling for Nuke to be ready to TP, and he's hiding in a bush. Caps just ran into a bush, so he thinks he's doing a recall to look for TP. Caps is doing Gromp. Look at Yike. He's going to queue in. If he wanted to fight here, he would ult the Varus right now, and there would be a TP somewhere, and he'd have dropped the TP ward. Caps is now recalling, thinking, I've not really got much to do here. Dragon's spawning soon. Maybe I need to be ready to TP top. I'm going to take a reset. But this TF ult timing, I don't know if it was intentional or not, is used by BB. I don't think it's intentional, so if it is BB, I'm sorry. It actually gets used, and it spots Orianna TPing. You see that? And then watch Caps. He's going to cancel his recall. So remember how before they were going to play for Herald and they played for bot tier 1? You know, now they want to play for some kind of fight in Dragon, perhaps, or some kind of fight in top push. But now the plans change just like that. In the snap of an instant, they've changed their mind. They're going to play for bot tier 2. Caps has no mana. He cancels his recall. He just walks past the Orianna. He doesn't even hit her. He says, you know what? You're not even going to get a fight anyway. He just walks past her and just starts pushing the wave. And he gets bot tier 2. BB, I think, goes a bit too deep here. I think he's trying to soft contest a bit too hard. I think BB also knew they weren't fighting this, or maybe didn't want to fight, but he wanted to slow them down even more, which ended up biting him in the ass a bit. And then Caps gets this bot tier 1, and then, yeah, that's the end of sequence 2. Now, this is where the funny sequence comes in, sequence 3, which is the Baron. Now, this Baron, I've watched it a few times, and there's a few things I think, but the problem is, you'll see here, is as soon as this fight ends, right, and Caps gets bot tier 2, the LEC puts it into a replay. Wait, see, this is a replay. And the replay goes on for so long that by the time you come out, G2's on Nash. Right? So I've had to basically work with the unknowns. So just before the replay, Dragon spawning, which is obvious. There's pings. I think they've got a lot of tempo, BDS, if they want to run out bot and try and force this Dragon. Because BB's dead with no ult. And Caps on a reset, Yikes on a reset. There's a few things that I think can be pointed out. So Hansama overstays and pushes top. I wonder if G2 are thinking of some kind of top tier 2 play here. It's really hard to think or to guess what they're playing for because of the replay. There's so much information missing. This ward here is also really crucial, I think, in determining what play it was. And Poppy's pathing determines a lot of it. But essentially what happened was, as you come out of the replay, you get a game state like this. Now, remember that ward I talked about in that bush? That ward's gone now. And that ward expired, I checked, at around 1950. It was placed at around 1750. So I wonder if, looking at Orianna's mana as well, my expectation for what happened is Rumble backtracked top or reset and went top from running towards Dragon. Orianna then pushed out bot and ran over the ward and showed here and did some damage to Dragon perhaps, or showed somewhere on this ward before it expired. And then because she has no TP, Caps then TP'd mid to push as much as he can. Hansama was already pushing top, and then Cap said, just go Nash right now. Orianna's bot with no TP, they're doing Dragon, they saw Orianna on that ward, let's force it. Or they knew they were on Dragon and all their tempo was topside, let's force it, we have TF Azir. And they forced down a Baron. Nice Baron was really smart. I mean, BB came out of base, but Caps TP'd in to push it in as hard as he could. And I think what BDS are scared of here is they're scared of G2 looking for that top tower that I said earlier. Because Kalista Tarek are poising so aggressively. Adam just ulted the wave as well. So I think they're kind of scared of a top tier 2 siege, right? They just use Rumble ult. The Rel's trying to get some vision as to where G2 are. Mid just got pushed in, so they probably think G2 are running up here. That's why Rel's kind of standing here to mark them. They think there's pressure. Orianna's basing and running top. They really think top tier 2 is under fire. I mean, you can see it from Varus' pathing, right? Look at the way he paths. He paths around to try and help, or tries to path ready for a Varus ult. And then I think they realize, like, hang on a second. They're probably rushing Nash here. Something's wrong. There's no force on this top wave. And it was really smart. I think a lot of things lined up for G2. Whether they saw Orianna bot with no TP, or they knew they were on Dragon and they had tempo topside to force it down with Caps' TP, gave them enough time. Or maybe they faked this top tier 2 push with Hansama showing top and not even hitting this Baron. Nevertheless, that Baron was really, really smart by G2. Now, here comes sequence 4. This is the really interesting one. It's kind of weird to look at, but you can see G2's thought process here. It's really hard for G2 to take a tower in BDS's face, right? They have Rumble, Orianna, Varus, Rel, snap engage if they want to just drop it on top of you. And they only really have a few tower hitters. Kalista can't really hit. Azir can kind of hit if he's alone, and TF can also hit if he's alone. But what they're going to do with the TF, actually, if you ever see TF in pro play, again, keep your eye out for this, is they're going to do 1-1-3. Now, 1-1-3 is kind of strange to do unless bot tier 2 is up, right? You'd initially think that you'd push out here, move mid, they push out, move bot, and you go 1-4 and play for bot tier 2. That's basically how rotations work, right? A very simple rotation is Azir pushes top, goes mid, TF pushes mid, goes bot, and then Azir catches the next mid wave high, while Orianna's taking top wave. Azir pushes mid, and then they collapse bot as 5 with a numbers advantage, right? Because she has no TP. That's a very simple macro play, for example, right? But what they do is 1-1-3. I think the reason they do this is so TF can push out mid, Azir can push out top, and TF ult is ready to cover both sides. So they put the TF mid. And also what you'll see G2 do, weirdly, they don't actually play for a tower. They just play for control. Mickey's going to walk in here, ward everything up. Kalista's going to push out bot. Essentially what's happening here is they light up bot side, they take bot camps, Hansama pushes out, and then Labrov thinks, well, I need to sweep bot side and take some of their vision out, because that's where Tarek's been. He walks into bot side, sweeps out their vision. Where do you think Mickey is? He's basing with Baron. He doesn't care if you want to take his wards. He's refreshing them, and now he's going to run out top side and literally the top side of the map with wards. So I don't even think G2 was playing for a tower. Maybe I think here they're going to play for a top tier 2, or at least try. They're going to do some kind of attempt for a top tier 2 now that they can deep ward top and Labrov can't sweep it. But it looks really hard, doesn't it? I mean, look at this map state. Even though they have Nash, mid's pushed in, Varus is catching, they have TF ult, but how do they force them off the tower, right? They don't know where Rumble is. Rumble ult could come in. They attempt a top tier 2, but they couldn't really get anything. I think this Baron was really about regaining control. Now, here comes the last sequence, which adds to their map setup a little bit later on. So, the Azir is now 2,000 gold up. Remember when he was 50 gold up around 15 minutes in? 9 minutes later, they've escalated this Azir to be an absolute monster. This is where the final piece of the puzzle comes in, I think, for G2. Now, it's soul point, right? If BDS get this dragon, they're on Infernal soul point, which is massive. So, G2 really want to keep BDS out of here. I think they changed their minds again. You know, Caps can TP in here and fight this. They could team fight this dragon if they want. They have good setup, they have bot push, they have mid push. Caps could TP in. Now, whether this is intentional or not, the plan changes quite quickly. Because you can see Caps all-ins top, and he goes on to Adam. Adam flashes away, and now G2 has to call the dragon off. Why does G2 have to call the dragon off? Well, Adam's going to base, right? And that means that if G2 want to force this dragon, they're TPing in with Azir on low mana and no ultimate, right? So what Caps has done is he's traded his ult for Rumble Flash. Now, in the long run, that's really worth it. But in the short run, what could happen here is Rumble bases, TPs in with ult, Caps TPs in without ult, and it's not a great fight for G2 to lack Azir ult when Rumble has his Rumble ult, right? It's not like he's down in power. So you'll see here G2 change the call again. They kind of walk up like we saw earlier, and then now the call changes. You'll see from this point on, everyone's just going to run away from G2. And they're kind of soft contesting. They're kind of there, but they're kind of not. You see BB's going to bot wave, Yikes going away. They're going to wrap around back towards mid. They just kind of gave up all their position to BDS uncontested because they knew they don't want to fight. And they knew what they're getting is a top tier 2. Now that gold injection is going to come in again. Bot tier 1, bot tier 2, top tier 2. Caps' gold is just escalating and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And he's getting so goddamn strong. Now he's going to push out top. This Azir now has a 3,000 gold lead. They dropped Herald for it. They dropped Top Fight for it. They dropped Dragon for it again. And I think they knew BDS was going to go on Soul Point, but they didn't really care because you'll see the plan later on, I think, shifted again because I think this is a mistake by BDS. So now, we fast forward around a minute. This 3k gold Azir is now pushing bot. This pain in the ass for BDS all game long. I think what BDS should have done is Nuke should have pushed this wave, based, and run bot. There's pings coming down on this wave, and both Rumble and Orianna are basing. So I don't know what the comms from BDS are here, because Adam actually runs out to get the wave. But Nuke also kind of runs out bot, but I'm not really sure what they're thinking. He runs out top, runs out bot, he's waiting for an item. Maybe Adam thinks he's safe to get this one wave, and then he can let Nuke take over. But I think having Adam on a side lane is crazy. Anyway, Caps punishes it. He knows he has no flash, and Nash just spawned. It's a perfect timing. Caps is putting so much pressure on the side lane that he thinks, you know what, I'll just all in this Rumble. And Nash is up. He's telling his team right now, go Nash, or like his team's thinking that they should go Baron no matter what. Because if Caps dies here, they need to be ready to force down this Baron and get it quick. And if Caps kills, he needs to be ready to TP in. Caps kills, and they TP in if they need to. Nuke shows on bot, and they get the Baron. There's TP. And I was a bit scared by the way they execute their Barons here, G2. But if you think about it, it does look like a 50-50. But as long as jungle and AD are there, they can always smite at 1.9 to 2k when you're playing Kalista and jungle. You'll see the health bar instantly gets one shot from 2.2, 2k. The smite with Kalista is too much. And now you'll see their map setup again is going to transition into 1-1-3. So they all take their reset. Kalista pushes out mid, moves bot. And then the TF is hovering mid. This Kalista has Baron and she's defending bot tower. That's how much emphasis they're putting on this 1-1-3 to make sure TF can be ready. And if Rumble shows top, well, Orianna has no TP now because she just TP'd to Nash. So Caps knows as long as he waits for these lanes to start pushing and TF to start pushing, if he takes a fight top with TF ult, he can always turn it 2v1. So BDS kind of have to overload through top to defend it, which means as long as they wait the right amount of time, bot should have enough strength to get towers if they force top. I think BB goes in a bit early here. He goes for the pick onto Rumble with TF ult and he sees all 5 of them top. And Caps kind of has to help him fight it. But Kalista is nowhere near pressuring this tower. They should have waited for the next wave, but he pulls the trigger very early. Luckily, they outplay it really well. It doesn't turn into too bad of a thing. You know, BB gets out, Caps gets out, everything's fine. But now they lost their mid push, right? That's the only thing. Then Caps dashes in and is a psycho, keeps them there, soft contests again to make sure they stay around. But then he just raw outplays it, right? He goes 2 for 1, which was so well played by Caps. And then they get bot tier 3. So now Azir is 4.5k gold up, is a menace on side lane. The TF's there to cover him the whole time, and the Kalista, Vi, and Tarik's job is to play on the right side of the map for tempo, or on the opposite side of the map so that he can pressure, or to defend in the mid game to make sure they can farm. And I think that I'm not going to break down the rest of it because what's going to happen later on is you'll see they get bot tier 3, they get top tier 3, and you see essentially what they've done is they've cracked both side inhibitors by just pushing endlessly and dropping almost every objective. They fought the first dragon and the second dragon. From that point onwards, they were just playing side lane after side lane after side lane and never gave BDS a team fight. They've gotten a massive gold lead from hardly ever fighting. I mean, they just got 2 kills now, which brings them up a total of 4. They had 2 kills before that, and they were still up in gold, playing the map really well. Yeah, I think it's slightly unique to TF, this map setup, but also I just wanted to break it down because I just found it really interesting, really cool, and I was just nerding out about it. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and of course, if more interesting map movement things pop up or game dynamics happen, I'll always try to break them down. So yeah, see you later.